Joining us now from the Pakistani capital is political analyst Javed Rana. Javed, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Umar.
Javed, let's start with what's happening in the occupied Gaza Strip. Netanyahu has gone all out with his invasion of the Strip. Tell us more. 1,000 buildings also been destroyed by Israel in the last few weeks. What else can we see, Javed?
I think the fact the 1,000 buildings have been destroyed within last 3 weeks is something big. It's not so easy to destroy 1,000 buildings. That means it looks like there is a clear carpet bombing going on in the Gaza city. It's a city of 1.5 million people. We don't know how many people are being killed, how many people are under the rebels. But that does shows that the scale of the aggression, the scale of the genocide has further intensified, has further expanded, and with the usual international sense of impunity for the apartheid state of Israel. Now, in a broader context, on one hand, there is a starvation. On the other hand, there is a air bombing. And then there is also beginning of a so-called ground operation. By a ground operation means first they soften the targets, which means by soften the target means the killing the population, clearing the entire buildings, and only then the Israeli troops can penetrate, can invade, and then they will declare their so-called victory. Basically, it is an extermination campaign whereby they would not see anybody on the ground, and only then Israeli covered troops would be there on the ground. So I think this is a terrible situation. Whatever we were hearing about so-called ceasefire agreement, despite the fact that the Hamas has called off the bluff of Israel by accepting the Israeli proposal by and large on Israeli terms and conditions, nonetheless, we have not seen any breakthrough. That shows that Israel, in a very systematic manner, has been deceiving, hoodwinking its so-called regional partners and also the international community in a very systematic manner, and nobody is bothered about. People are being killed as we speak. Just about an hour ago, another Palestinian journalist have been killed just inside the hospital through a drone attack. And that means the Israel doesn't want to see what is happening, because destroying 1,000 buildings means that there were people inside. And generally, going by the track record, Israel Air Forces, they just give few minutes for people to evacuate the building, and then it follows the attack. So I think this is a terrible situation. We have been dehumanized, and we are in a kind of a situation where it is a normalization of the dehumanization of Palestinians, and nobody is bothered about.
Javed, yesterday we also saw something symbolic. France summoned the U.S. ambassador for his remarks, saying that France has not done enough to counter anti-Semitism. Of course, it's not going to hold any value, but this also shows that France is taking action. France is more pro-Palestinian. What's your view on that? Do you think that this would make any difference?
I think the remarks of the U.S. ambassador to France are in contradiction to what Donald Trump just said a few weeks ago, when he said that the starvation in Gaza is real, and then he had claimed that it's only USA who is pumping money to contain the scale of the starvation in Gaza. Now, the U.S. ambassador to France has written a letter to the French government saying that there is a surge in anti-Semitism, and then part of it is also the fact that France has announced to recognize the two-state solution in the occupied territory, basically recognizing Palestinian as a state. And now, basically, this policy statement of the France is also anti-Semitic. Look at the nonsense that Israel has been projecting through U.S. ambassador. And now we have seen that the White House is backing up the statement of the U.S. ambassador to France. We have to understand the networking of Zionism in the White House. The ambassador to France, who is he? Kushner. His last name is Kushner. You may recall the son-in-law of Donald Trump is Jared Kushner. He's the father of the ambassador to France is the father of Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of Donald Trump. I think that speaks volume. This is how, in a very systematic manner, apartheid state of Israel, through its Zionist network, basically has captured the White House, handicapped everybody who matters in decision making in the White House. It is, again, in contradiction to the Donald Trump's declared assertion that there is a starvation going on in France. And now, in reaction to that, whatever is happening in the world, more particularly in France, when France announced that it is going to recognize the state of Palestine, that shows essentially that Israel is not bothered about, because it has taken over the entire geostrategic positions from where there could possibly be any pressure could have been exerted onto the apartheid Israel. This is a terrible situation because Zionist network appears to be prevailing, but at the same time, we should not be discouraged by the facts that there is also other side of the picture, the flip side, and the flip side is that the international opinion has turned so much against Israel that now people love to hate apartheid Israel. And there is a prevalent sense in the West that Israel is controlling the West, more particularly the U.S. decision making, and I think sooner or later there would be a violent reaction. And I fear the Jewish community would be targeted, though I believe there are many good members of the Jewish community who are pro-Palestinian. But the kind of the policies that Israel has come up with over the period of the time, I think it is also a recipe for disaster for the peaceful Jewish members in the USA and elsewhere in the world.
Javed, Israel is not only controlling the West, it's now controlling the Middle East as well, because yesterday we saw how Israel bombed Yemen. The presidential palace was targeted. There were many power plant stations that were targeted. 6 people were killed. How have the Houthis reacted to the latest attacks?
Well, I think, frankly speaking, if there is only threat to the apartheid state at this point of time, that is Yemen. Whatever the military support that Hamas and other jihadi groups are getting, that is coming from Houthis. It's not just Iranian factor. It's not just Iran which has been backing up Houthis. I think the kind of the political dispensation that is existing in Yemen in form of Houthis, that over the period of time have shown a very important resistance against the apartheid structure. And but again, since these attacks do not much for Israel in the broader context, because these attacks have not been frequent. Whatever the capacity, the military capacity Houthis have, I think they have managed to cause certain disruptions inside the apartheid Israel, and also more particularly in the Red Sea. But we should not forget that when Houthis were attacking Israel's ships in the Red Sea, from where the trade of Israel was being redirected, it was rerouted to Saudi Arabia, from there to the Jordan, and from Jordan to the occupied West Bank, and from there to the mainland apartheid Israel. So that is a problematic area. Saudi Arabia is a part of the problem.
Javed, we were just watching Hakan Fidan address the emergency session of the OIC in Saudi Arabia, and there were some many important statements that he made as well. And we've been listening to these statements as well. Common efforts are important. Turkey is continuing to work for peace. We are ready to do whatever we can for the Palestinians. And he also acknowledged the fact that Israel's not going to stop the attacks, because we were just talking about it. Israel attacked Yemen yesterday. What are your comments on this, Javed?
I think these were very realistic comments. And then he also, at the end of his speech, I did hear that he also called for a coordinated united stance on Israel, a coordination among the member countries of OIC. I think that is extremely important. You may recall that there were previous sessions, and I think about a year ago there was a summit on it when Turkey, Iran, and there was another Muslim country from North Africa, and they had come up with the plan that let there be a trade bloc, because a trade blockage by one particular country would not resolve the problem. There has to be a coordinated response. I think, again, the Turkey's position has been once again retaliated, and then the foreign minister has very rightly pointed. But the bigger problem is there are people inside the hall who are not willing to listen this option, because they need once again a statement, a condemnation, where they will call for the international community to intervene. But again, practically, meaningfully, nothing would be done on the ground. This is the Yemen under Houthis who are militarily attacking Israel. They are the one who are causing a lot of problem for Israel. You may recall what Donald Trump had said, that the Houthis would not attack the U.S. because Houthis had a deal with the USA that the U.S. ships would not come under attack. Now, basically, the U.S. has distanced itself from the Israel so far as the Red Sea is concerned. So again, now we have not seen the U.S. attacking Houthis. So again, at least Houthis have done something. But may I ask what other countries have done? Diplomatically, yes, they have made a lot of hue and cry. Some countries are very enthusiastically pursuing for a coordinated response, like Turkey, like Iran. But as long as Saudi Arabia does not spring into action, I don't foresee that there would be any change on the ground. We should not forget it is the UAE which has been at the heart of the allegation from Hamas that UAE's Red Crescent has been providing all kind of intelligence to Mossad from Gaza about the location of the jihadi groups there, from where they've been launching rocket attacks. So, and then these have been the UAE's property dealers in the Jerusalem who are trying to buy properties from Muslims and handing over to the Jews. Basically, that's the Zionist agenda, to remove the Muslim population from the Baitul Muqaddas, the East Jerusalem, which is the site of the third holiest site of Islam. So again, when these Arab countries are already partners in the crime, partners in the genocide with the apartheid Israel, we should not expect that they will come up with anything which is meaningful. Other Muslim countries, non-Arab countries like Turkey, like Iran, I think their efforts for the time being, I don't foresee that they would yield any meaningful results because of these Arab Norths who are partners in the crimes.
Political analyst Javed Rana, thank you so much for that analysis and for being a part of our program again.
The growing tide of anti-Israel sentiments. What you see behind me is just tip of the iceberg of what is happening in the country. More than half of $52 billion black CIA budget is spent on espionage network in Pakistan. How would you handle it?
The US has looked upon Pakistan as an ally at one point and then as an enemy at the same time.
That is going to be the first legal reason on the basis of which he is going to be instantly ousted by the Supreme Court of Pakistan.
Joining us live, Javed Rana, who's an expert on politics and geostrategic issues.
In the world politics, which is not being driven by any moral principle, it is being driven by the hard geostrategic realities. In a broader picture, more countries would aspire to have nuclear weapons.